Welcome to Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering Limited, where we take a deep dive into the current limited formats. I'm Robi, the resident Dirtle expert.
I'm Andrew, the resident mid-range expert.
I'm Joel, the resident combo expert.
And I'm Ryan, the resident aggro expert.
And
We are
we're
the
Packmates.
Packmates.
Perfect.
Join our Discord, check out our socials.
Yep.
In the description.
Yep.
Subscribe.
Also, check out all the archetype videos that Ryan put up on the channel.
Yeah.
They're fire.
They are fire.
Give them a thumbs up.
They're really good. Yeah.
Some of them
the thumbnails slap.
make it wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah,
All
no, they're
theory
good.
crafting.
They're good. There's one for each archetype.
Yep.
Yep. So what do we got this week? Andrew,
Yeah, so we're going to talk
what
about
do we got?
we're going to talk about our pre-release and how well or bad we did. And then we're going to talk about
Mostly bad. Mostly
Yeah, I don't want
bad.
to know what the Packmate average is. I think I helped the curve a little
We
bit.
did okay. We did okay. I think we weren't the worst.
You know, there wasn't an nothing, right? Like
Yeah, we all
won
got
some
wins.
games.
We were all 3 and 2.
Yeah, 3 and
Yeah, we were all 3-2.
We're all positive. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all positive on that.
Play
That's good.
boosters, ruin sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk about some of our least favorite commons and uncommons of the set. And then we're going to talk about like some of our favorites that we have as well. So we're going to give you a good spectrum of things to help you kind of get to that next level in your game and then maybe get some dibs.
Yep.
All right. I guess I could start it off.
Yeah, you should.
So, yeah, we had a pre-release and ended up going undefeated. Completely undefeated. No ties.
What was there, like 8 people or something?
No, I think it was like 40-something people. Was it, how many people? 50?
9 people?
That's 5 rounds.
It was only 5.
Yeah.
It was 6 rounds.
It only ended up being 5.
It only ended up being 5 because I was the only
It was supposed to
undefeated.
be 6,
I
yeah.
was the only undefeated, so couldn't.
So 6 rounds is what? 8, 16, 32?
It's between 32 and 64.
Yeah.
Cap is 64. We didn't hit the cap. I think it was around 50.
Yeah.
I think we
it's
were around
usually
50, yeah, because I think I saw like a table 20 or something like that in there.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, I was opening my pool, saw some good rares in there, saw a bunch of surveil lands, and I said, ooh, these surveil lands are pretty nice, and they were all kind of blue, so I looked at my blue cards. I had 6 blue cards. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're not going to be doing that. And so I'm looking at my white cards, and I had about 8 white cards. I said, oh, well, I guess I'm not doing white either. So I looked at my Jund cards, and they were just out of this world, like really good.
Has there ever been a pre-release where you didn't go, John?
Have I not gone Jund?
In some sort of.
There was like, I think it was March of the Machines where I did a 5-color deck, and it was actually really good. If I didn't tie, I probably would have won the whole dang thing. But
So Jund +2.
Jund plus.
Yeah, basically.
Was Jund involved?
I did have some heavy hitters in here that really helped do a lot of the legwork for me. I had Rakdos, Patron of the Chaos. That's the 4-cost demon. It's actually a 6-cost demon. So 4 colorless, a black, a red, 6/6 flying trample, and at the beginning of your instep, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards.
Busted.
I had
Genuinely.
so many people pick up their lands and try to put them into the graveyard to prevent me from drawing cards. And I said, no. no.
Has to be important stuff.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. And then they tried to pick up the tokens after. I said, And I tapped the card. And they're like, damn, this card is good.
It's pretty stupid.
Remember I
was-
said important stuff.
Yeah, it was so good. I had 3 Topiary Panthers to help smooth my mana, which was really nice. Those are the guys who are the 6/5s and then they basic land cycle. They're the only basic land cyclers in the format.
Yeah.
Learned that today. Actually, I learned that by watching Ryan's videos. Watch those videos. They're really important. They helped me get this win. So, and then I had, along with all the rares that I had, I also had Case of the Locked Hothouse. That is a 3, so it's 3 colors and a green, and then you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And then when you solve this case, you have to have 7 or more lands to your
solve it.
instep. And then when you do it, you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's a land, you get to play it. If it's a creature, you get to cast it. You don't have to pay the mana cost. You do have to pay the mana cost. It's not free. And then enchantment spells you can also play off the top of your deck. That card is insane in sealed. If you have that in your sealed pool, you should really start evaluating your green cards. Or at least, and it's actually imminently splashable too with 1 green. And so you should really be, if you think you're going to get to 7 mana, 7 lands, probably should be playing that card because it's busted.
And the thing that makes it, I think, so sick is the fact you can play the lands off top. So there's like very few things that are dead off top. Instants and sorceries.
Not to mention you get 2 land drops. You can play multiple lands off the top or crack clues to get the extra land off the top or surveil something.
Yeah.
It's just,
It was particularly disgusting in my deck because I had 3 surveil lands. So when I finally hit a spell, it was like, okay, I'll just mill that off the top with spell, and I'm back in business again.
Yeah.
And so I was casting morphs off the top, or disguise guys off the top, which was good. We had to call a judge at one point to see if that was perfectly legal. It was above board. So
I wasn't sure about that because,
a lot of people weren't.
apparently it's legal with assemble the players too, which, power and toughness 2 or less.
Yeah.
And it counts for the morphs.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I did not think it was originally, but the ruling said otherwise.
I
So
assume that because of that one is a card from I forgot what it was, but it was like you can do that. It was adventures that you could cast. Instants and sorceries, and you could play the adventures.
Yes,
sure.
I remember that.
What I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a question for me because I had outrageous robbery, which exiles cards from the top of your opponent's deck, and I had to call a judge to see if you could cast disguise creatures from exile, which you can.
Cool.
One card I'd like to highlight, it was a common, extract a confession, 1 colorless, 1 black. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you collect evidence 6, they have to sacrifice the highest powered creature.
It's basically Tithing Blade.
Joel's been on that.
It was surprisingly good how overperforming it was. And collecting the evidence was like pretty easy, and it's really good early because then you can have them. The format's pretty slow-ish in sealed.
For sealed,
yeah. And so it was really nice when you were just like, they play disguise guy. You're like, oh, great, sacrifice a guy.
Yep.
And you're just like, sacrifice a guy.
I think that might be one of the best black comments.
Yeah.
It might be.
no, I was on it from the
Blade?
start. That card is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tithing Blade.
It's way better than
I think it's way better than
for sure.
You can you get the choice of it this time.
Yeah.
Which is always pretty good. There were cards before that did that, and they cost like 3 mana to do to make them sacrifice their biggest thing.
Yep.
And so it was pretty big. Anyways, so it served me very well. I went 5-0,
Nice.
no ties, total victory.
Awesome.
Complete.
Sick.
Did you have any of the 1/3 or 0/3 looters for 2 that whenever it attacks, draw or discard a card or sack an artifact and then you get a loot? No.
No, I did have a Krenko. That was kind of fun.
Also, Demand Answers kind of fills that same role.
The Man
Right.
Answers was good, yeah.
So
I had to put that in just because I needed some sort of card draw to start getting my filter on. And yeah, it was just good. I was impressed by all like the disguise guys. I went more big disguise. And so I had those 6-7 guys who flipped for 6. And they were like perfectly reasonable.
I'm just now seeing that you actually sent me your deck list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can, yeah.
Like Joel looked at me like,
That was nice. Now I got a nice box of of play boosters.
Heck yeah. So
Yeah.
who did second best?
Joel.
Joel.
I ended up going 3 and 2, but I also mulliganed like 6 times over the course of the night. Might have been 7. It was a lot, and I got screwed on mana a lot. But the deck was pretty busted. I had no witnesses and deadly cover up, so I had 2 board wipes to start. And Sir Conrad with board wipes is it's gonna win the game nearly every time. Just deal an insane amount of damage to them. Plus, just Sir Conrad's busted. Right.
What does Sir Conrad do?
Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, so collect evidence, right? It deals 1 to each opponent, and you can also pay 1 and a black to have each player mill a card. And it's a 5 mana 5/4.
Wait, is that in the set?
It's on the list.
That's what I said whenever
So,
Joel told me about it.
Apparently it is.
Joel was like, "Oh, I got a Sir Conrad." I was like, "Oh, like is there like a new Sir Conrad?" I didn't realize he meant the Throne of Eldraine busted uncommon Sir Conrad, which is tight.
So it's part of the list, right?
Yep.
It's not even the special guest. So there's the special guest edition, but then Play Booster just randomly have list cards from just about anything, like massive.
How many list cards are there? Do we know?
there's like 10 special guests and like 30 to 40 list cards.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot.
Goodness. Okay. So that adds a little bit of chaos to the mix there.
Mentor of the Meek's in there too.
Yeah. The other card that is one of the best cards in the set, I think, Aurelia's Vindicator. 2 generic, 2 white, and it is a 4/2 flying lifelink ward 2. And it also has disguise, and you can pay 3 and a white to flip it, and then X to flip it up from disguise. And when you do, you exile X target creature cards from the battlefield and graveyards. And when it leaves, those cards go to their owner's hand. So you pick any number of creatures from your graveyard to pick up later, and exile any number of creatures from their board. And then even if they kill it, they go back to their hands and they have to replay them. And it's also a 4 mana, 4/2 flying lifelink ward 2, which just races anything.
Yep.
Right? Just absolutely insane.
Busted card.
I ended up splashing blue because I had some really good, like I had Lazav Wearer Facers and Drag the Canal and Coerce to Kill.
Ooh.
Those are all some really good blue cards. And the alternatives were playing some really, really sketchy. I already had some kind of mediocre black and white cards, which may have been the problem with the deck, honestly. But I was going to be playing like actively bad, the 5 mana Raise Dead, or not Raise Dead. It reanimates a creature and suspects it, right? It's not good. So I ended up splashing the blue and I got punished pretty heavily for it. I just did not draw my blue in most games.
Did you have any fixing?
I had 2 of the lands, one where you tap a land when it comes in, and one where you can tap a creature to filter. So not much, not the Surveil lands. And that punished me pretty heavily.
Yeah.
So
And 2 board wipes, right?
2 board wipes.
So, yeah.
Gross.
Honestly, when I heard the 2 board wipes, you were like one of the last people I wanted to play. I was like, oh gosh, this could just be so bad. Yeah, I have a lot of card advantage, but it was just, I don't know if I could beat just straight board wipe you again.
Yeah.
Rebuild off that would be really tough.
Yeah.
No, drawing the board wipes tended to correspond to winning the game.
I'm sure there's
Who would have known? Who would have
Crazy.
thought that?
Yeah.
game in hand win rate with those things pretty high, I'm sure. Our games went drawn, I guess.
Yeah.
So Ryan, why don't you tell us about your deck?
Okay, well, I started off building a Rakdos deck that I thought would be like fast enough and good enough because I had like a decent amount of removal.
Mhm.
And after the first game, I just completely scrapped it. And I was like, oh, there's too many bombs. So it couldn't outrace like the bomb stack. So it wasn't good enough for Rakdos. And I ended up in a 5-color Niv Mizzet Guild Pack deck,
Sick.
which I did cast once. It's white, blue, black, red, green for a 6/6 flying, hexproof and multicolored. When it deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards, you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. But I never got to do that part. But I casted Niv Mizzet, so I don't have to do that ever again.
We could check that box.
It was mostly Bant, so white, green, blue, just splashing red, black for like a very few cards. I never had land issues, which was kind of absurd to say. Like literally never. I had 2 Topiary Panthers and 2 of the 3 mana Search Investigate for land and 2 Surveil lands. So that was plenty of fixing. I also had the case that Andrew mentioned, and then Vanifar Evolved Enigma was insane on 4. And it's 2 green blue for a 3/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Cloak a card from your hand, so it becomes a 2/2 ward 2. And if it's a creature, you can flip it up for its cost. If it's a disguised creature, you can flip it up for its disguise cost, which I didn't know and had to ask a judge, but that's sick. And then, or put a 1/1 counter on each colorless creature you control, which is also sick. And then I had Tulsamir, and Tulsamir like seemed kind of mid, honestly. He's a 2 green, white, white, 3/2 lifelinker, and he makes a 5/5 trample wolf. And whenever him and the wolf attacks, a target has to block the wolf.
That's mid?
It was like in this
That seems
format.
like so
it
much
was like
stats.
Yeah, I know. Like
That's a lot of stats for one gentleman.
I know. I know. Like Vanifar just seemed way better. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, Vanifar's gas. I mean, immediately you get the effect, right?
At the beginning of
The cloak.
combat.
It's beginning of combat?
You get a cloak a creature or put 1/1 counter.
Yeah,
on
see, that's
something.
great. Like
Yeah.
cards like that, I mean, it's already impacting the board immediately. So you get a quite a bit of stats out of that
And
guy.
late game, you turn all your lands into 2/2s that then become 3/3s and then 4/4s.
Sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. Like putting 1 counter on 2 disguise guys is just busted. Like anything more than that, it's insane. But yeah, that was the deck. There's a picture on the thing. Just tons of disguise dudes. Like literally like 12 disguise guys.
How many lands do you run in a 5-color deck?
Well-
or mana sources, I guess.
I ran 17.
You ran 17? Did
ran
you have any other
17.
mana sources?
I had no like dudes that tap.
Yeah, or anything like that. Like, it was kind of.
But you had 2 ways to tutor a land and then 2
Yeah.
land cyclers,
Okay.
right?
2 land cyclers and
Okay.
2 tutors,
That's
and
pretty
then 2 surveil lands.
I've been hearing like 18 lands plus sometimes with these 3-color decks in sealed.
I'm
It's
like,
sealed,
I'm the
yeah.
type of person that will like almost never run 18 lands. Like, it's like going to the dentist for me.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to.
Yeah,
I
I
hate
think
it.
I should have been on 18 lands, honestly. Like, I didn't want to. I was on 17, and I think I should have been on 18.
I was on 17, but I had like the 1/1 guy who makes a mana, and I had like 3 land searchers, and I think I had something else that kind of produced mana as well. And even then, I was like, I should have gone to the 18th land. Like even then, I was like,
I hate. No, I'll never
Yeah.
do it. I'm not.
I was just
gonna.
wondering.
And then the last card I had was a common, which was kind of sick in just exactly this deck. It's Vidu Ghazi Inspector. It's a 1 and a green for a 1/3 reach, but as an additional cast Akasa, you can collect evidence 6, meaning your Topiary Panther, and you can put a 1/1 counter on any target, and you gain 2 life. So it can be a 2/4 reach, gain 2 life on turn 3, which shuts down every aggro deck in sealed. What'd you do this time, Robi?
Yeah, I went 5 colors. I opened 4 surveil lands, and I had quite a few bombs. I had Aurelia's Vindicator, which is the white mythic that disguises and also exiles stuff.
Yeah, the one Joel just talked about.
Yep. And I also had probably my favorite card in the entire set to actually play with, Outrageous Robbery.
What's that one?
It's double black and X, and you can, whenever you cast it, you exile the top X cards of your opponent's library face down. Then they're just your cards.
That's a sorcery, right?
No, it's an instant.
That sounds
It's an
outrageous.
instant. It's like the perfect name. Genuinely. like 10 out of 10 on naming it. Because it was like outrageous robbery literally every time I played it. I cast someone's Rakdos.
Oh no!
Can you spend mana as if it were any color to cast?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Man.
And it's forever. And they don't know. They don't know what you got either.
Yeah.
So like you can even disguise stuff and play their lands. So yeah, that was super fun. But yeah, I had horrific mana issues.
What's the most
on
you
that
casted it for?
one. X equals 8.
Oh my god.
So, how long did it take for your opponent to mill out exactly?
That's the other thing. It's a sick millwin con too. like 8 is a lot. 8 is a lot. Like we're going late game. Like I build my decks to go late game, right?
I would have been surprised if you had said 5.
Yeah.
8, and then like there's nothing they can do, right? Because you just have gas,
Yeah.
right? Ryan was saying beforehand too. It's like also like an MMR. It gets better the higher the MMR of the
That's
person you're playing. Low-key, yeah. I had that. I also had a Judith, which was pretty good. It was really good in my deck because I think I was only running like 11 or 12 creatures, and the rest were all instants and sorceries, all removal and stuff. And I also had Iazoni, which was like pretty mid and hard to cast.
That's the one that you can collect evidence and make 2 spiders.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah, I was just having like horrific mana issues all night. Even though I had 4 surveil lands and one of the tap for all color lands, I just wasn't drawing the lands I needed. My spread was pretty greedy though. So yeah.
What'd you end up?
3-2?
Nice.
3-2? Did we have 6 rounds?
No, we only had 5.
We had 5. It ended at 6.
5, yep. 3-2. Or 3-1-1? No, that doesn't sound right.
Something like
3-2.
I mean, a
3-1.
tie sounds right.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to tie whenever you outrageous robbery people.
That's true.
Like-
Although that has more decisions for you too, as you're looking at all the cards and forgetting the cards that were pushed down. I know every time I have face down cards, I'm gonna look at them again.
Yeah.
No, when I was watching other people's games, but on both days, I did 2 pre-releases. There were a lot of games going to time.
Yeah.
Honestly, like more than I'm used to seeing. And I think at least some of it is so many people trying to remember their face down creatures, making more decisions,
Yeah.
which just eats up a lot of time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of text on these cards.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
to scoff at. They basically all Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
And you always got to be careful when you have 2 disguised creatures because you're pretty sure you know which one you're attacking with, but you have to be 100% sure.
You only make that mistake once
Yeah.
before you check every
I
time.
think the best game I had was when somebody put 2 face down creatures, and I was like, which one do I kill?
Yeah.
And so I was pointing the shock, and I was just kind of like trying to gauge. I was like, which one's it gonna be? And you just see the bead of sweat, and you're like, this one.
That's super
I
funny.
think one time I just cold got the 3-4, the one that flips with the angel you guys were talking about.
Oh, man.
And I just cold got it because he put 2 of them face down. He's like, I was like, this one. And he's like, you sure you don't want this other one? I was like, this one. And he was like, damn it.
There were so many times where I had one disguised creature and he had one disguised creature, and that was the board, and I was like, attack. He's like, take it. I'm like, okay, he's killing.
That's funny. The disguise does like lead to some really funny interactions for sure. So how do we feel about this format? Just like a brief little thing. Like, what do we feel about this seal format?
Play boosters ruined it.
It feels like March of the Machine almost. Like
I don't know.
just straight like the sealed. Like I hated March of the Machine
Yeah.
sealed, but
I loved
like,
March of the Machine sealed.
I love March of the Machine draft format, but like the sealed was tough because there was just so many aggressively ridiculous bombs.
Yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of the sealed format so far. It's
Very swingy.
incredibly swingy, and then the fact that like how many rares you open in your packs just varies so widely, and then the power level of the rares just obviously a
I had
good player.
12 rares.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I had 11 and maybe 13. I don't know. I was up there.
Yeah.
Lots of
Around
rares.
10, I think, on mine. How many rares do you have?
I don't know, like 8.
Yeah.
I wonder you went 3-2.
Yeah, honestly, skill issue.
Yeah, you really got to up it.
lands. 2 of them were unplayable blue cards.
I had 4 lands.
You got to add some
yeah.
more XP into pack opening.
Yeah. I'm good. If I get good opening packs, maybe I can win a pre-release.
That's funny. Yeah, so do we like it or no? I think the draft will be fun. But
I think it was a
I'm
fun
hopeful on
pre-release, but like at the same time, I don't know how many seals I'm going to be grinding.
I enjoyed it very much.
yeah,
Checks out.
Andrew loves them bomb heavy formats and sealed. Yeah,
Andrew has a high correlation with mood and win rate.
really does.
Yeah.
It was just so refreshing not to tie around.
Yeah.
That was just like ties were like the bane of my like pre-releases for the longest time. I always get one tie and like 5 wins. I'm like, damn it, I just can't get this one tie off my back. So finally, I got through those first 3 rounds, and I was like, I'm not gonna tie in these later rounds because
Yeah.
everybody's MMR is like got to be at least higher their decks. They know what their decks are doing by then.
Yep.
Yep. So next up, what are we going to talk about, Ryan?
The worst commons.
Why not the best ones?
That's boring.
Amen,
And
brother.
Robi hates that.
So we were
I
gonna
didn't
do
work
the
for no
best
reason.
comments. We were gonna do the best comments. And after evaluating the best comments, I realized it was boring. And so we
He needs
decided
evaluating my slides by the way, that I already made.
And so his 1 vote, which counts as 4 against the other 3 of us.
It did,
There's a lot of
when I
weight.
was making it, it felt kind of redundant because of the guides, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
The guides were really good
The
though.
guides kind of highlighted most of the cards I was going to talk about already. So
Yeah, so check those out, and then this will give you some ideas on some of the traps, things you really
Yeah.
shouldn't be playing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or things that are like super situational too.
Yeah.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start off with the worst black commons. So basically how this works is we all, as a group, chose 2, and then we all secretly chose a 3rd that we were probably going to fight about.
We will find about.
So for the 2 that we chose as a group, worst black commons, we have Agency Coroner. That's the 3/5, 3/6 sack guy. And you can pay 3 or 2 and a black to sack something. And if it's suspected, you draw 2 cards. If it's not, you draw 1.
Mid.
Yeah, not maybe even unplayable. Like
Yeah,
maybe like
yeah.
strictly unplayable. And then we have Repeat Offender. That's the 2/1. You can pay 2 and a black to suspect it, or put a counter on it if it's already suspected.
So 6 mana to put a 1/1 counter on it.
So we're going to pay 8 mana for a 3/2 menace.
Yeah.
If we have other ways to suspect it, we might only have to pay 5 mana for a 3/2.
Whoa, that's so good.
Dang, what a builder round.
Crap.
This is what we call power creep.
Yeah.
And then my worst black common is Cerebral Confiscation. That's the Mind Rot or Thoughtseize for 3.
Did Ryan just say that Mind Rot is one of the bottom 3 commons of this set?
There's not very many commons. There's not
I
a lot
don't
of
know.
commons.
I don't know.
I do think there will be a point in the format, a small window where it's good, but mostly it's going to be bad.
Mind Rot's always okay.
Yeah.
It's always like mid, right?
So you always get a last pick at least once a draft, right?
Yep. So my worst my worst common is raw farm multi-peed. Mid. Super. Everyone is making a face right now. You can't hear the face that they're making.
There will only be exactly one deck that it's good in.
I still think
that
it's
deck
like
will be
not
good.
worth it.
No, you're saying that a 4-mana 4/4 was it Menace Lifelink
is not worth
is
it.
not worth it. You got to be in the right deck. But
So,
if you're in the right deck,
Do you remember I don't remember what format it was. There was a 4/5. When you drew your second card for the turn, it got Menace and Lifelink.
No.
It was not even like close to the best. It wasn't even that good. It was begrudgingly playable. And that's a lot easier to draw 2 cards than it is to exile something from your graveyard.
Like I'm with you that it'll be bad in 4 out of 5 black decks, but
It reminds me too much of like Strixhaven Boros. Do you remember Strixhaven
yeah, I do. And
Boros?
this reminds me of that, but there's so
When
much
things
more
leave the
enablers
graveyard.
and better payoffs.
yeah.
I think when you're drafting, you're gonna have those payoffs in there. If you're drafted anywhere near
The
this,
payoff is a 2-mana black removal spell that's already good by itself.
Yeah.
Like, you have them sack a
I
creature, their
don't
biggest
know.
creature. You have a 4-mana 4/4 Menace Lifelink.
Yeah.
Like,
Watch the
So good.
Golgari guide. It'll
I
get
hate
pieces
it.
flowing.
I hate it. Yep. What do you have, Andrew?
I picked Basilica Stalker. It's a 3/4 flyer for 6 that has disguise. When it deals combat damage to a player, you get to gain 1 life and surveil. I just think it's so overcosted for what it is, and
It is
its
very
disguise
expensive.
cost is 5. I think you're going to be dying before this thing's even going to be able to flip, and you're never going to get to 6.
so my one experience with this card is there are a lot of smaller flyers that you can just flip it up and eat them. Right? That is the one like redeeming factor. I would agree it's overcosted. The combat damage trigger is pretty mediocre, but whenever you flip it up and eat their guy, it is going to be more reasonable.
I also think that every disguise card is like borderline playable.
Yeah.
And the ones that have a 6 CMC are especially good just because so many things say collect evidence 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to get blown out as hard, when you subscribe to the rule of 5, right? Like if they have 5 mana, it's going to be able to at least eat your...
But people ignore that for flyers because I think this is the only flyer in the set that flips up and eats, the 2/2 flyers, right? Like there's the blue 2/2 flyer, the
There's
vigilance,
a
right?
6/7 reach guy. But
That's
yeah.
true, but you need 6 for that.
You need 6 for that.
All right. And you got to be in, that's just red or green.
Yeah.
This is a black card, right? People are not going to respect this card for, the first 2 weeks of the format. They're going to get eaten by it. And later on, people will learn. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, until people know the format better, you will get some people with it.
I could see that. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that.
That's a good
I'm
point.
still not going to play it, but...
My pick, I was picking Alley Assailant. It's a 3-mana 3/3 that enters tapped and then has disguise. And if you flip it up for 6 mana, you Lightning Helix your opponent's face. The tapped felt like such a downside. It was just super clunky.
Yeah.
Getting to 6 mana on it and then doing it never felt that great. Yeah, I just never had it do anything.
3 mana 3/3, baby.
I was like,
Yeah.
the aggro guy's going to say something.
Yeah.
3 mana
Thank
3/3.
goodness.
3 mana 3/3 tapped.
3 mana 3/3.
I mean,
Dude,
Rex
that's
every
like
disguise
almost
creature.
as good, if not way better, than a 4-mana 3/4.
I just think...
Right?
Well,
Like,
I think it has some upside too, because if you ever go long, like that's the reach you need in those aggro decks to just like sometimes
I
you
don't
need
hate
like
I
it.
have
3 damage.
never gotten Lightning Helixed or gotten the Lightning Helix or seen someone else get the Lightning Helix on it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
I
was
got
you're never
by
really
it.
disguising that guy on 3. You're gonna just
Yeah,
play him tapped.
Yeah.
And so that's kind
You
of the
need to
weird
like
thing.
play him on 5 and then flip him, at which point it's just so much worse than anything else you could be doing. Like, yeah. It's just this awkward tension between trying to get the value late and then having a smaller stat line or just playing a 3-mana 3/3 with absolutely nothing. It's a vanilla 3-mana 3/3 tapped.
yeah.
Like,
All right, next up we have our black uncommons. We're starting off with Polygraph. That's the 5 mana, like the top 4, 2 in graveyard, 2 in hand.
and you lose 2, I
And you
believe.
lose 2 life.
Yeah.
And then you can collect evidence
Terrible.
to make them discard a card, sack a permanent, or lose 3 life, something like that.
And it's supposed like repeatable, but I think you have to pay 2 mana for
You
it.
have to collect evidence 3 and pay, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there because it gives them the choice. They're always going to pick the thing that's least harmful for them, and it just has way less of an impact than you think it will.
Yep.
Yep.
And like if that's what you're using to, like for your collect evidence stuff, there's so much better stuff.
For sure.
And then the next one is it doesn't add up. That's the instant speed 5 mana reanimate that brings a creature from the graveyard onto the battlefield, but it suspects it.
Which like ruins the point of it being an instant, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
like
it has no value.
it's
from
only
being an
instant value now. It's like the same as that of an active treason. Like, oops,
Yeah.
I win at the end of your turn. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so.
I mean, it reanimates World Spine Worm, which is in the special guest slot. So clearly it's good.
And then suspects it.
Yeah, no, I can gamble, discard World Spine Worm, and reanimate it.
Wow, this card's
I love play boosters.
And then my uncommon that I think is unplayable is Persuasive Investigators. That's the 5/6 for 6. And when it enters the battlefield, investigate. And whenever you crack a clue or sacrifice an artifact, your opponent gets 2 poison counters.
I love it though.
It's not good?
It's real narrow. It's real narrow. So next, mine is Presumed Dead, which is like begrudgingly playable. I just think that all the other uncommons are so much better in
What's
this.
that one?
That's the 2 mana, like,
+2/+0. When this creature dies this turn,
It comes
return to the
back,
battlefield
yeah.
and suspect it.
You may be wrong on that.
it's good, but
I was
like,
imp-
it's like mediocre.
I was super impressed just because I did it on my disguise creature when it was trading. They didn't have mana, and I got a really big creature back
yeah.
that is now suspected, and they can never block it. I just traded with their guy.
I just think it's like, I don't think
Too
it's like
cute.
unplayable. It's just like the value of it being an uncommon kind of like brings it way down.
I
a
mean,
little bit.
sure, but the other thing is it's kind of easier to get away with
Like,
tricks
it's always
because of the
gonna be
ward
okay,
on all your
yeah.
guys. Because like the upside is getting back your disguise guy on the other side, and those guys already have ward, which makes it easier to enable. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's easier to do than you're realizing. I had it in my deck, and I had
It's like Fungal Fortitude, but
I didn't
uncommon,
Sure.
like to.
right? Like
This seems
it's
really
it's
strong.
okay, but like
It seems
you never
stronger in
actually
this-
take them that high, right?
Yeah, it seems stronger in this set than in sets we've seen it before. Hence the shifting up to uncommon. This, they don't really want that happening all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one that I chose was Persuasive Interrogators as well.
Oh, nice.
Yep, I think that's going to be the biggest trap. People are going to see that and see like, oh, I can
It's
poison
bad.
people.
It's
like you're going to live in the
bad.
Christmas land of where you have just a ton of investigate things and all the mana.
Somebody's gonna get poisoned. for
Blue,
10.
red,
I'm
black.
going to do it.
Your clues cost 2 less with the little guys that like give you mana for it, and then you're just like, you're dead.
crime novelist.
Oh,
And
fine,
there's
no,
also
that's
a rare
rare,
that
yeah.
makes casting clues cost only 1 to sacrifice.
so-
Yeah, clearly this is the best deck in the format, guys.
And that'll happen to 20% of people once in the format, and they'll be like, oh, cool.
I just don't think it's enough. There's other things that give you investigate tokens if you're looking for that.
Yeah, no, maybe I should have picked that. That one's pretty bad, but I picked Case of the Gorgon's Kiss. Initially, I was pretty high on this. If you get a 1 mana 4/4, I think it's Death Touch Lifelink,
Yeah.
right? That's absolutely insane. And all you got to do to solve it is have 3 things die. And it's not just die, it's put into the graveyard from anywhere. So I had these 1 mana cards that milled 2 when they hit in my second pre-release. I had a couple of them. And then I had some other ways to kill stuff. And then when it enters, you destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn, right? So I'm thinking between the mill, the fact that, you can kill something, I can solve this some portion of the time. And if I ever get the 1 mana 4/4, even if it doesn't kill something, that's insane, right? And I never solved it once. I rarely killed something. There's just more trading in a set with a million 2/2s. And then the other thing, it is creature cards. It does not count tokens, which I did not realize at first, but it makes it so much harder to solve because it's normally really easy to have some tokens trade off or chump, etc. And then you get your thing, but it does not count that at all.
Yeah, I think it goes exactly in the Menace deck, because like if you swing with a Menace guy, they double block, you have 1 damage carryover. That's solving it, right?
Yeah, but it needs to be non-tokens. You need to do that. You need to have, it just takes
It's a lot
so
of
much
ifs.
work.
Yeah.
And then,
But I also think like never solving it is like kind of fine. Like 1 mana kill something.
but normally those are instants. So you can block and then kill their thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is a sorcery. And the other thing to remember is you can only solve cases on your turn. It solves at your end step. So if 3 things die on their turn, it doesn't matter. You got to be the beatdown.
Once you've played it, you're never solving it, right? Like unless you solve it the turn you play it, you're never like your opponent's never just having 3 things die before your end step starts.
Yeah. No, if they're playing well, absolutely.
You'll just kill your thing at the end of your end step, right? And then you just don't solve
Yep.
it. So
That's a good point. I thought that card was better. How you just said that.
yeah.
Yep. So what color do we have next?
White. So our white commons are Griffnot Tracker. That's a 3/2 flyer for 4.
That one was a little debated.
Yeah, it was
Just a
highly
little.
debated. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 cards from a single graveyard.
Mhm.
Yeah, Robi didn't agree with that. I kind of didn't agree with it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a detective.
It's not.
It's a detective.
That's why, right?
It's a 4 mana 3/2 flyer.
But it dies to
has flavor
shock.
text. Dies
Right.
to shock.
Bad. Dies bad to shock. And then the next one we have is Has the Vigilante. That's the 4/4 that puts counters when it ETBs or attacks on creatures with power 2 or less.
Yeah,
And that card is
pretty mid.
Doesn't it cost 5?
5.
Yeah.
5
and a
for
white.
4/4. Yep.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but
My white card, which goes against exactly what I just said last time because it does have disguise, is Museum Night Watch. That's the 3/2. When it dies, make a 2/2 detective for 4. And its disguise is like, what is it? 1 and a white to flip it.
Yeah, no, I was actually pretty impressed by that. I had a couple of those. And the main reason why is, you have the rule of 5, which is the idea you never eat their creature with the disguise. This guy, you only need 2 to flip him. And even though you don't eat their creature, you trade with their 2/2, you get another 2/2, which is like pretty similar value, right? Obviously not the same, but it is really easy to set up situations in which you are getting the value in trading, all right?
All that for just 5 mana.
But it's spread out over turns. You can pay it whenever you want. You can plan to pay it. It was really easy to set up. And if they're ever using exile-based mana removal on that, it has done its job,
Yeah, that's true.
right? So
yeah.
What do you got, Robi?
I have Season Consultant, the 1/3 that gets +1/+0?
plus 2
2
plus,
plus, plus 2
so you get a
plus
2 mana 3/3.
If you attack with 3 creatures,
On rare attacks.
Yeah.
garbage. Actually unplayable. Yeah. It's a detective though.
Detective bonus.
Detective bonus, but like
Yeah.
we just played Ravnica Remastered where you had the 1 mana card that did this and it was insane.
Yeah.
But like the fact, is it 3 other creatures?
No.
It's just 3
It's 3
including
creatures.
the-
3
yeah,
more
yeah.
Creatures.
Yeah. The fact that it just costs 1 more mana is just makes it terrible. It doesn't work on curve nearly as good.
I wasn't as impressed by that card, but I actually picked On the Job. It's the +2/+1, and then you get to investigate, and it costs 4, so it's a 2 and
Isn't
2.
it 2/2? Plus
All
2
your
plus 2?
creatures.
All your
plus 2.
creatures.
Oh,
All
that
your
one,
creatures,
that
yeah.
one, the big,
Yeah.
the rat.
Yeah, so it's double
plump.
white 2. We've seen cards like this before. I think this, even though it has the investigate clause to it, why like
Feels
this is
worthless.
this is
Yeah.
a game ender. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna randomly like pump my guys. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, this is like I'm gonna get you with this, and that the investigate just is not gonna matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
White
no,
doesn't utilize the tokens as good as like other colors, I don't think. Yeah.
that's for sure. I also picked Season Consultant. Card is bad.
It's super bad. And it looks playable. That's the thing about it. Because it costs 2 mana. So everyone's gonna play it. Like Ryan will
play
play
it
that
over
card
Museum Night
all the
Watch.
time.
Like
right?
that.
But it's
Literally
so
on fire
bad.
right now.
Like Ryan next week
Aggro
will
Soul
come
is
up
on
to
fire.
me. Ryan next week is gonna come up to me and be like, Robbie, I need like 2 cuts. And I'm gonna inevitably walk right over to his 2-drop slot where he's gonna have like 5 of those. I'll just be like, just cut them all. Like,
I'd rather play 20 lands.
yeah, it's genuine.
In the deck that I have 5 of them, they will be 4/4s for 2. Because I will have the Lord.
I cast murder.
You murdered my 2-drop. Oh
No,
no.
the Lord.
Oh, no.
The Lord.
Way to murder my 2-drop when you could have just murdered the Lord, you fool. All right, next up we have our white uncommons. Our first one is Krovod Haunch. That's a 1 mana food equipment. Pay 2, sack it to gain 3 life. When you sack it, I think it's when you sack it or when it dies.
When it goes into the graveyard from the battlefield.
You can pay 1 and a white to make 2 1/1 dogs that are tapped or untapped.
Untapped.
Untapped. 2 white 1/1 dogs.
It also has equip for 2 to give +2/+0.
Yes.
If you want a really overcosted kind of mediocre equipment.
Yep.
Bad.
Yeah, it looks okay, like just on the surface, but I've never played
The
it.
only thing I'd note about this card is there is a rare life gain case for 1 white that you normally need to gain 5 life to solve. You're never really going to do it because the benefit that case gives is whenever a creature enters, you gain 1 life. And theoretically, you can combo this uncommon and this rare together to solve the case. And when you solve that case, the rare case, it lets you sacrifice it to cast creatures from your graveyard until end of turn. Which is a very powerful effect for a 1-drop.
Yep.
But playing those 2 pretty bad cards in a deck together in order to combo and somehow do this, it does not seem feasible.
Yep.
Huh.
And then next up we have can't talk. Absolving Lamasu. It's a 4/3 flyer for 4 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, it removes suspect. I believe you gain some life.
You gain life when it dies,
When it
I believe.
dies.
Yeah,
When it
which is like
dies, yeah.
always worse than enter the battlefield trigger.
By so much.
So much, yeah.
The other one upside it has is when it dies, you can suspect up to one target creature. So you get like some benefit of, if you want something of yours suspected, if you're more aggressive, you could do that, but it's just overcost. It doesn't
And it's
do
like
enough.
awkward too, right? Like you don't really care about like giving something suspect like after combat, right? Like the value of suspecting something.
Yeah.
And if it's normally going to
Sometimes you
die in
block it
combat.
and like get
Yeah.
the life and give your thing suspect or give their thing suspect.
Get
so
their
they can't
thing
block.
suspect would be really nice.
I think like there's like a niche deck that it goes in where you want
sure.
to remove suspect from your guys, but I think
Barbed
it's-
Servitor, anyone?
Yeah.
Servitor, yeah, man.
I really wanted in the Barb Servitor deck that I had 2 of that we drafted. But okay, my first uncommon or my only uncommon is Essence of Antiquity. That's the 5-mana 1/10 that has Disguise, and you can pay 3 and flip it. Give all your creatures hexproof and untap them.
I kind of like it though.
It's fine.
I have Forum Familiar, which is the cat.
I kind of like it though.
No.
I like
cat
the
is
one.
bad.
I like the 110 way better.
Yeah.
What's the cat do?
So
It's-
it's a 1/1 for 1. It also has Disguise for 3, and you can pay, I believe it's 1 and a white to turn
Yeah,
it
it's
face
2
up.
mana.
And when you turn it face up, you put a +1/+1 counter on it and return up to 1 other target permanent you control to its owner's hand. So you do not bounce their thing. You get to like save your thing theoretically, but it's just kind of awkward. It's a 1-mana 1/1 on its face.
Yeah,
You're
it kind
never
of does
playing it as a
nothing.
1-mana 1/1. Like,
You
I
can,
mean, never is like meaning 90%.
and it's
of the
bad when you do
But
it, right?
A card which you can only cast for its Disguise, and then when it flips, it's staying at the same power and toughness. It's so
It
awkward.
seems super bad. I hated it. Yeah.
We'll see.
I think I'm gonna take some stuff for this sanctuary wall.
No, it's good.
no.
It's good,
Oh, man.
though.
I should have prefaced
It's
it.
good. What sanctuary?
How did you win
Child.
pre-release?
Oh, I'm glad we all know what it does.
I had respect for you.
Moving on.
That's hilarious. It's so good. It's so
It's
good.
genuinely so good.
I think it's good. You definitely get to tap the guy. That's
Stun
gonna be
counter.
fun, but the stun counter is going to be rough because you stunned it itself too. So you've just taken away your blocker.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
but
it's
you
like
can do.
saving you mana every other turn, right? Like it effectively makes it 1.5 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like on their end step, you can tap down one of their guys. Then to your turn, you can stun one of their guys. It stays tapped down. Like you
I
can
may
do
have
some
been wrong about this.
May.
You'll find out. We'll find out.
I'm probably going to be playing. In all honesty, I'm probably going to be playing this next week and realize how bad my pick was.
I also picked Forum Familiar. I'm not a fan of the cat.
Yeah, I hate it. It's bad.
It sounded decent to me.
It looks
It's mid.
it
It's
looks
hyper
good,
mid.
but like I think in practice it would just be bad every time.
I also think in this set, it is a mana intensive card with the front side of a 1-drop. And this set is like you're using your mana so late into the game.
Yeah.
There are so many things to do with your mana. You can crack your clues, you can flip your guys, you can disguise and then flip your guys to get turned face up value.
You can tap
Right.
and stun creatures.
yeah.
You can return that guy to your hand.
Oh my god.
Get the sun counter
Still gonna
off.
Tap something the same time you would have been able to. Did you think of that?
That's good.
All right. Next up, we have our blue cards. We all agreed on Behind the Mask. That's the instant. Make a artifact or creature a 4/3, or if you collect evidence 6, it makes it a 1/1. So you can target their creatures to make it 1/1, or yours doesn't make it a 4/3. These effects have just been bad
The
usually. So
idea
it'll
of
have a home sometimes.
Yeah.
it looks really cool when you turn your clue into a blocker and ambush their morph creature, and it just feels so bad most of the time. And like, it just doesn't do the thing very often.
Yeah.
Yep. If they bounce your clue in that situation, you
No.
kind of got blown out.
Yeah, for sure.
And then next up, we have Jaded Analyst. That's a 3/2 defender.
They-
Whenever you draw your second card each turn, it can attack and gains vigilance. And it's a detective.
I am the one detractor on that one. I'm the one detractor.
Yeah. Robi thinks there's a aggro deck where you want 3/2 defenders and you're
Yep.
drawing 2 cards every
Yep.
turn.
Yep, genuinely.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I have yet to see one of the creatures that loses defender be good in the sets I've played. Like,
The Pyro one was fine.
Walking.
Lost Caverns.
What's
It's
the?
that card was mediocre.
But it was always a 3/3.
It was playable. But yeah, it was a 3/3 on defense.
Yeah, it
What
was
is
overstated.
Walking Bulwark from Dominaria
Okay, but that was a defender's deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defender's deck.
is a defender.
Also, and that one doesn't count because the only reason that card was good was one of the best cards in that set was the white uncommon that makes a million birds.
Yeah.
And then you blink it with the rare ship
But it
and
was
make a
also kind
million
of
more
really
birds.
sick on its own too. Like, right?
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
you just sending in like 5/5s.
I have seen people play the
Yeah.
Defender's deck without the uncommon payoff in that format.
I've done
I
it.
loved
I've
that
done
format.
it,
It was
yeah.
atrocious if you didn't have the payoff.
That's true.
It was gnarly.
Wingmantle Chaplain.
Wingmantle
What a
Chaplain.
bomb.
Amen. Amen.
Let's all
Open
take a
it pack
second.
2, discard pack 1, go into Defenders.
Yeah. Oh man.
You always kind of hedged in pack 1 in case you open
I
it.
really did.
You
Yeah.
take all the
Symbols.
shield wall signal.
You
Yeah.
know, okay, my blue card that's I think is like borderline unplayable is the Deuce. Instant 2 mana, draw a card, investigate. It's just too slow.
I think some decks want to.
Yeah, no, there is
Oh.
a surprising amount of counter magic at 2 in this set. You've got No More Lies. You've got the pay 2. They suspect up to 1 creature. There's a lot of instant speed plays. I think it's easier to hold open mana in this set than you're realizing. Obviously, that might not be the best thing to do with your mana. But if you're already holding open mana, playing at instant speed, I think it's pretty reasonable.
I just think when you lay out your deck and you're looking to make cuts, this is the first one that's going to go.
That's fair.
I don't know about that. I like it.
I
Think
like it
Twice was
too.
really good back in the day, and that's basically Think Twice but better.
And yeah, the sacrificed artifact upside, some decks really care about sacrificing
Yeah,
artifacts.
so
Is
they
it?
want they want the
True.
they want the clues. Yeah.
It might go and is it
Yep. That's its home for me.
sometimes.
I have Out Cold, which I think is the worst. Get a clue.
Way better than Deduce.
I don't know. Like if your goal is to get
What
clues,
does that one do?
that's the 4 mana tap 2 things, put sun counters.
Yeah,
on it.
That
no,
card
you're
exists.
And it
tripping.
cannot be countered.
You don't pay ward. You put counters on it. It's an instant speed. So
That's usually like the cut. that I
3
take.
turns.
no. So on their upkeep, you can tap 2 things without paying ward, just the 4. They have stun counters on them. They don't untap next turn.
They
Like
don't untap the next turn. Or
yeah, they don't untap the turn after that. So you'd get a turn, they wouldn't untap. You'd get another turn, and then they would untap.
Yeah.
So you get 2 combat steps with 2 creatures removed. You can also randomly just stop them from attacking, and it investigates. It replaces itself.
It's mid to me. I just
really good.
I don't love it.
That is like one of the better ones in the set. You are tripping.
I just see like better like plays at 4 mana.
You've always hated those cards.
Yeah. You could just put it on top of
They're
their
Yeah,
Deck
it's
really
just not very
formed
good. I don't know.
Is that what you put?
Okay.
yeah,
We'll
it's
see.
It's terrible.
Do you still feel the same way about it now, knowing that you're in the same boat as Andrew?
no,
Yeah.
fuck Andrew. The guy who said that
Robi.
the 2 mana wall was
Yeah.
bad.
Champ agrees with you.
I'd like to remind you how much he knows about how good tapping creatures is.
Yeah, this is how I feel about tapping creatures. There's
That's
a pattern
funny.
here.
That's funny.
Actually,
I think it's bad. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be really good in the tempo decks. You know, you're going to want that in your really low to the ground detective decks.
But the tempo
like that.
decks don't really care about the
Question,
clue.
What about
right?
the late game decks? Will it also be good in those?
I don't
No.
think so.
You survive, you buy yourself 2 turns, you get a clue that you cash in later.
So that's assuming that they only have 2 creatures on the battlefield.
You tap down their 2 best creatures.
You care about.
Okay, but like there's gonna be like a bunch of creatures, right? Like I don't know. It's just like mid to me.
We'll see.
I like these cards when they're
Oh.
winning you the game, not like prolonging the game.
Yeah.
You do win the game when you remove 2 creatures at instant speed and you have 2 extra attack
You would-
steps.
Not then and there.
Did
but
you guys
like-
play Wicked Slumber and
That was a sorcery, wasn't it? That's the difference between these 2
Yeah,
cards.
This one's an instant. It's
Yeah.
Buying-
it's nice that it's
It's just like straight up an extra turn. It is doubling the effect by
When I
instant
was
versus sorcery.
really bad at Magic, I fell in love with Sleep. The 4 mana just tap all their stuff.
yeah.
It's an instant. It's so good. And so cards that remind me of it, I like.
So you can
I'm a
never
simple
vote for
man.
this.
Simple man.
That was all creatures too, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like all creatures, a lot of creatures. It's all of them.
Sometimes.
It's literally all of them.
Sometimes it's 2.
All right.
For my pick, I have Living Conundrum. It's a 5 mana 2/5 hexproof. There is no other text.
That's my favorite card of the entire
I
set.
think the text is actually defeats Robi in draft.
That's true, actually. It stops your opponent's mill win con. I forgot about that.
It
does.
defeat him by him playing it and you just winning.
I honestly think like,
Probably.
yeah, I think that's it. You know, no matter how many cards
I'm
you
gonna
have-
be jamming all of the 2-mana enchantments that like give a creature flying on my 5-mana 2/5, and
So
it's sick.
as
love
I
it.
understand it, we are paying 7 mana
Yeah.
for a
3/4
3/5 flyer.
Yeah. Amen.
You play the
With
white
hexproof.
one, you could give a vigilance.
With hexproof.
Oh my gosh. We can put 3 cards into this.
It's
And you know what
bungles.
I'm going to play?
It's
I would like to
bungles.
have you sacrifice a creature with the greatest power among creatures you control.
Your response, flip my disguise.
With what mana?
I just played a 5-drop and
I like
aura.
it. I like it. I like it though. I just like it.
It's gonna block forever, but
It's cute. It's adorable.
Yeah, and you want to know how good
It's
cute
probably
cards
not
are?
good. It's probably not good, right? Like,
we can move.
I'll agree it's not good.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, for our worst blue uncommons, we have Candlestick. That's the +1/+1 equipment. Whenever it attacks Surveil 2, it costs 1 blue, 2 to equip. And it's a clue. And I'm kind of low on most of these like equipments. And then we have Curious Inquiry. That's 1 mana +1/+1 to a creature. And when it hits a player, investigate.
They're just never that good. And
Yeah. Like, they're not even good enough when they say draw a card. And the fact that this makes
Yeah.
you pay 2 mana to draw the card also, like,
like some decks
It's like-
might want it.
it's a
but
little upside, but not.
It's like super niche and never worth it most of the time.
And then my blue uncommon is Agency Outfitter. That's the 6 mana. Search your library for a magnifying glass and thinking cap and put it on the battlefield. And it's
I love it.
isn't it a flyer?
It's a 4/3
4/3
flyer.
flyer.
And
4/3 flyer
the one
for
thing to
6.
remember is Thinking Cap costs 1 to equip to detective. It is a detective. And the Magnifying Glass taps for mana. So theoretically, if you never draw, the 2 artifacts you're searching for, it pays for itself to become a 5/5 flyer for 6. That makes a mana rock and gives you an equipment, right? Like, the best case scenario there is really good, but anytime you draw a Thinking Cap and the
So you just need multiples.
Yeah, you're
I
losing.
think you're gonna lose
True.
percentage points putting those cards.
Yeah,
in your deck.
Absolutely.
No, that's the problem I have with it is anytime you don't draw that, like if you don't have tutor targets for it, it is the worst card in your deck. And you've also drawn your tutor targets that are bad then.
Yep.
Right.
I love it though. I do like it. So for my uncommon, I picked Surveillance Monitor, which is the 4-mana 3/3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can collect evidence 4, I believe. Is it 4,
Yep.
Joel?
It is 4.
And if you do, you create a 1/1 flying.
Whenever a
falcon.
creature leaves your graveyard.
No, whenever you collect evidence,
Whenever
any
you
amount, you get a 1/1 flyer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's pretty build
Wait.
roundy.
It is build aroundy, but blue green is one of the decks that's trying to build around that, right?
Yeah, I'm just not at all impressed by it. Like, I just don't think it'll be.
I think it's the worst payoff in that.
It's a 4-mana 3/3.
But it is
at the end
also
of
the
day.
payoff that is an enabler because it does it itself. And it is just like a body. Because that deck is very slow. A 3/3 blocks a lot better than you would think in the set, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think if you're going to be in that deck, that's going to be one of those cards you play that's not great, but that tides you over to winning late game with your crazy value and provides some synergy still, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
We'll
don't-
see.
I just hate
I
it.
think that deck's bad. Don't get me wrong. However, if you were to build this deck, as I'm sure one of us will do, I think you need to play that card.
Maybe for sure.
I got Agency Outfitter. Just you're gonna make your deck worse by playing this card.
Yep.
Trying to make it work.
I also put Agency Outfitter.
It's
Yep.
a trap for sure, but
Card
it's
is bad.
It's a cute trap.
Next up, we have red commons. First one is The Chase is On. That's 3 mana, +3/+0, first strike and investigate to a creature.
Kind of debated. Some
Yeah.
people kind of liked it.
The one time it's good, I think, is if you're in like the suspect deck. If you're red-black aggro, right? Then, getting the 2-for-1, they double block your suspected creature. You give your guy first strike +3/+0, that's going to kill both their creatures nearly always,
Yep.
right? But
And they have no mana up.
if less than 3 mana up, your guy has ward if he's, face down. Like,
Suspect guy with wood, that's hard to do.
there's the guys that give your suspect,
There's a
right?
couple. There's a
Yeah.
couple. There's a couple.
There's the one tip.
But yeah, I'm not high on it. And then the other one we had, which Andrew hated, was Red Herring. It's a 2 mana 2/2 haste clue.
I still
It has to attack
I
every
still
turn.
kind of like it.
It's fine.
I saw a lot of people saying that card was like way overperforming for them, but I never saw it actually do well. And I've never seen a card that has to attack every combat be very good. honestly. I'm sure in some point there has been, don't get me wrong, but it's been a while.
Yeah, I think I actually was up on that, but in our pre-release.
Yeah, I think it'll be better.
And I've
in
really
draft.
kind of shifted on it. I think it'll be a role player in your aggro decks, and it'll just probably be
Clear
that.
decks, probably.
It'll be that last card you're cutting. You're looking at your like 20-second card or something, and you're just like, yeah, this guy, all right, we got to have him for a curve.
Did feel good the one sealed game that I won with my Rakdos deck. That was like the dude had a super slow turn, and he's like, kill it. And I was like, okay, draw a card.
Yeah.
And it's
like eventually they're gonna have to deal with it. You can't just take 2 forever from that guy.
I mean,
So I play a
1/3
blocker.
or
Oh yeah. Oh shoot, yeah, I forgot blockers exist.
Easy mistake to make when you don't play defenders that tap things
You're
down.
playing Rakdos, you get all sacrifice effect. You just assume you have infinite removal, right?
That's obviously, yeah.
My red common is just the middest of mid 2-drops, and that's Innocent Bystander. That's 2/1 that when it takes 3 damage, investigate.
But it makes a clue.
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
And if it doesn't make a clue, it's traded with their 2/2 disguise.
yeah, which is fine.
You're up a mana. It's an aggressive creature. It's way better than red herring.
I like
If
that.
I have to choose between red herring and that, I'm picking that in, I think, my aggressive decks.
It depends on your deck. I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's a 2-drop. Like 2-drops are fine, but
Yeah.
as far as 2-drops go, I think this is like probably one of the worst ones that you'll actually play.
So I'm here to just trigger everyone, and I just put shock just to trigger everyone.
Oh man.
I do think that shock is usually overstated how good it is. Galvanized is better. Galvanized is better. Fight me. Fight me.
Yeah, let's look at win rates here in 2
We will.
weeks.
We will.
How
we
much
will.
money do you want to put on it?
I probably would put money on it, low key, because like
Ooh,
Galvanized
okay.
aggro decks want to make room for their aggro creatures to get in, right?
And you best do that by paying 1 mana.
Aggro decks want removal for bigger creatures, right?
Not necessarily.
If your creatures are small, you want big removal, right?
Not necessarily.
all the 3-drops
In
are
the-
2/2s.
In the best aggro decks, you kill 1 or 2 of their early blockers. That's how you win.
Yeah.
You don't
That-
really need
You
big
go
removal.
around their
Like,
big
They get to
thing.
their big things, then you lose, right? Or like you just push lethal through that same turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think galvanized.
Shock also goes face.
Yes.
That's what everyone says, right? That's like the
Yeah.
argument for it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's less efficient too with all the
That matters less than you think.
Ward
Like, yeah, you have to pay the
So you pay
word, but
3,
you pay
that's
3, you
fine.
kill their creature.
Yeah, that's
3,
fine.
but like they can flip it in to have like 3 power, right?
Well,
like
if they
3
have
toughness.
5
Five
mana.
mana.
Yeah, 5 mana.
Is the 5 mana for the 3
Yeah, for toughness.
Toughness.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one that
It
flips
might.
for 3 that's the 110, right? But then it's a 1.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get blown up by the 110,
I can get to the expert.
yeah.
Oh God, you got my shock.
Gosh, I just got blown up.
I
at
don't
110.
know.
couldn't
I don't
believe
know.
it.
I'm just not sold that it's better than galvanized. That's my main.
I got Goblin Mask Maker as my worst.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though.
It's a 1/2 for 1 red, and then whenever a Goblin Mask Maker attacks, so you don't have to deal the damage to him, which is, I guess, all right. Face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast. I just think if you don't get this on 1, this is like, why did I even draw this card?
Yeah, a 1/2 in this set especially is so unplayable because everything's a 2/2. You are never trading for the 3/1. 3/1s are like, they don't really exist. Like, how many are there?
One. What do you want for 1 mana? How many stats?
I'd like
do
to
you
deal
need?
2. I'd like to deal 2 for 1 mana.
That's too much. You're asking too much. You're asking too
If
much.
you have 2 of them, you play your disguise creatures for 1. That's just a
So
win the game.
I'd just like to say we're keeping this 2 plus disguise creatures in the opening hand. How many are we playing? Because then we're going to draw them later and still lose. It takes so much to make
It
good.
feels so bad drawing
Even
this
playing
late.
it on 1 and playing a disguise creature on 2 is a huge boost.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to sacrifice it?
Yeah.
But what am I sacking it into on turn if I'm on the play? Maybe if I'm
If you're on the
draw.
play, if
So
you're
we are on the
draw,
play with multiple 1-drops in our hand, and it's good. Oh my gosh, we've solved the format.
We'll see.
I don't hate it.
I think it's going to be good.
No, that was also my pick. So yeah,
Okay.
no,
Very good.
card is bad.
Good pick. Good pick.
All right. And next up, we have our red uncommons. We have first up, expose the culprit. That's an instant. You can flip something and or put all your face down, exile all your disguise cards, flip them face down, and shuffle them up and put them back out.
It's got too much text.
It's cute. It's very cool when you pay 2 on turn 4 to flip your 6/7 reach and you get their guy, and it's just atrocious. Don't do
that's
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we have Caught Red-Handed, which is a 5-mana instant threaten effect, but it suspects it.
Oof.
And I was like, why? Like, I've been like, why is it an instant? There's got to be some reason it's good, and there's just not. There's just no reason to play it. It's just bad.
Yep. Seemed pretty bad.
Because like the instant threatens like were insane back in the day because you could just take their guy and block with it.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
But you can't do that. So bad. And then my red uncommon is Convenient Target. This is the 1-mana enchantment. I guess +1/+1 and suspect something, and you pay 3 to return it from your graveyard to your hand.
Kind of like it though.
Yeah, no, I don't love the card, but I have played against a deck where he was definitely the aggro. I was to be, I'm going to be winning late, but it's like, he could randomly put it on my big creature and I couldn't block, right? And it's like, I am never attacking with those stats. I am so far behind, right? And then you can just pick it up from your graveyard when they kill your creature, and that's when it's relevant to put it on their big creature when they're resolving it,
Yeah.
right? I think it just has more situational usefulness than you think so at first for this random aura. And the other thing is, I think +1/+1 in this set turns your 2/2 into a good attacker.
Yep.
When before it's not. Normally +1/+1, they just block it with their 3/1 or whatever. But in this set, it's a bunch of 2/2s. Everything's a 2/2, and the +1/+1 then is really relevant. So I don't know about like great. Don't get me wrong, but more playable.
It
I
seems
think.
Very narrow,
kinda-
I think.
Yeah,
Very narrow.
for sure.
Well, yeah, you got to be hyper aggressive.
I have concealed weapon. I think it's pretty mid. That's like the equipment. I think it costs 2 mana.
Oh, the disguise one.
So
Yeah,
it costs
the disguise
1 and a
equivalent.
red, and it costs 1 and a red to equip. It gives +3/+0. You can also disguise it for 3, and then you can pay 3 to 2 and a red to flip it face up. And when you flip it face up, you attach it to target creature you control. All right, so then you wouldn't have to pay the equip cost. Is the idea.
Yeah.
So
It just seems pretty mediocre to me.
yeah, the idea is they try to remove your face down creature. They pay the ward. Oh, you get them. You flip it. Attach
You
it to their
flip it, it's
creature.
equipment. Haha.
I've gotten so
Murder
much
doesn't
value.
work on this.
The idea is you have flying 1/1s and you just trade
Yeah,
everything.
for sure.
Yeah. No, I had it in my deck on the second pre-release I did, and I had a lot of flyers, and it was reasonable there. And anytime I didn't have flyers, I was always playing a 3-mana 2/2, and I was never flipping it.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
How'd you do in that pre-release?
I ended up getting third. I only lost 1, and I lost to the guy who had crashing footfalls on 1 every game. So did not feel bad losing that. You know what? You got it, man. So
Thanks to the equipment, 3rd place.
oh yeah. I will admit it won me a game because
That-
I played the 1/3 flyer
Doesn't
that you
mean
can pay.
crashing footballs.
It
You
does
heard
not.
here.
No, it is nowhere near. Nope.
1/1 flyers trade with them.
I had the 1/3 that when it dies, you can exile like 2 more flyers. So it's a flyer that you turn into a 4/3 flyer, and then if they kill it, you get more flyers. And it was really good there, and really bad every other time.
I got Vengeful Tracker as my red uncommon.
What?
I like it's all right. It's like a 2/2 for 1 colorless, 1 red, and then whenever an opponent sacrifices an artifact, it deals 2 damage to them.
Kind of whatever. It wrecks some decks. Though,
I think it's really good in certain decks. Like if you're in an aggro deck, like that's very reasonable, just the extra damage. But I think if you're playing like some sort of Rampies deck or something like that, it's just gonna be a vanilla 2/2.
More of a narrow sideboard.
It's
card.
so narrow, yeah. It's very good in the sideboard. I'd love to have that guy in my sideboard of red decks all the time.
Yeah.
But-
you play it over the 2/1 that if it takes 3, you investigate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think I would.
No, that's where I'm at with this card though. Is like it's a 2-mana 2/2 in a format where all the 3 drops are 2/2s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So like it attacks fine, and if they block with their 3 drop, who cares?
Yeah.
And then randomly just getting like if you play that card against the Is It deck, your odds of winning have got to go up like 10% or something.
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
super,
How
like-
do they beat it if they don't just instantly kill it? And if they kill it, they killed your 2 drop.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Shock.
no.
Yeah.
Galvanize.
What if we played Shock instead of the Goblin Mask Maker, guys?
Goblin Mask Maker.
Would you trade? Okay. Every time you draw a shock, would you trade that for 2 goblin mask makers?
I think most of the time the Shock might be better than 2 Goblin Mask
I would
Makers.
probably rather.
Like,
No, but I mean, like in a deck that already has shock, would you just trade it for a goblin mask maker?
No.
2 goblin mask makers. You get a whole extra card.
that's how bad Goblin Mask Maker is.
Yeah.
I probably would. I would 100% of the time. Take the 2 cards.
This is some alchemy conjure an extra card into your hand to BS.
Oh man.
What'd you have,
What
Joel?
do you got, Joel?
Yeah, I had concealed weapon as well. I think it
Even
is.
though he played it.
Yeah, no, I played it. It was my 23rd card. I seriously considered playing an extra land, and maybe I should have, but it was really good with flyers. So I think if you're like the flyer deck, go for it. Because like the amount of upside you get when it does like do the cute thing of turning into an actual equipment and then being a reasonable stat boost. But you need to be an aggressive flyers deck. And I just don't know if you're really going to be able to do that. Maybe is it, but is it's like grindy artifacts? It just
If
doesn't
we
seem to
learned
really-
anything from Lost Caverns of Ixalan is like terrible, garbage, unplayable equipment is okay if you just have a ton of flyers.
Yeah,
Right? Like
absolutely.
yeah.
The hammer in both sets is like actively unplayable.
Fungal fortitude, like unprovoked, just on your guys. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Rochester draft, and I was just playing those as +2
Yeah, like it's so good with just flyers. Like flyers warp everything, kind of.
All right, next up we have green. First card is Airtight Alibi. That's a +2/+2 and hexproof. Flash enchantment. Doesn't
It only gives hexproof for the turn it comes in. If it was hexproof forever,
Yeah.
it would be a very different
that'd be
story.
best,
yeah.
And then you can also remove suspect from the creature it enchants. So you randomly get them. Oh, my creature can't block.
Occasionally.
Observatory, anyone?
Oh man, 3/3 indestructible. Whatever will I do? I'll cast an XL-based removal spell. Like, yeah.
And then we had Slime Against Humanity. That's a 3 mana that makes a 0/0 ooze +1. And you
$4
can counters up
commander
with +1
card.
for each.
Oh, +2.
Yeah,
So
2
it-
+1 for each Slime Against Humanity in your graveyard.
It's +2, I think. So it starts out at 2/2, and then it goes to 4/4, and then 6/6. So it scales really, really well. I'm sure there's a draft deck where this will be. You get all of them at the table,
them
no
all,
one's doing
yeah.
it. But the first one's pretty bad. The second one's actively good, but you need both of them. So I think your deck needs at least 3 for it to be playable. And everyone after 3, it does get kind of cool, but it just, it seems like it's going to be difficult to do. Especially since it is, especially at the beginning of the format, right? Everyone wants to do the cool thing. Everyone wants to do caves.
Yeah.
People are going to see this and want to do it.
You should,
X is
if you're new to
2 plus the
draft,
total number of cards. So the second one's a
yeah.
3/3. The third one's
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
never
it goes
mind.
up by
I take it
one.
all back. That is so much worse.
if you're new to draft, Slime Against Humanity is $4. Right? So just take them all.
Yeah.
At least for this
like,
they're gonna be super high.
yeah, like just take
Yeah.
them all.
I don't know. It'd
They'll-
be kind of funny
they'll
to get
stay
like 6 of them
expensive
or something like that. And you're
forever.
just like, all right.
Cards like that retain value, like the Dragons of
Yeah, like
Persia.
persistent
Yeah,
petition,
yeah,
like
Seven
$2 or
Dwarfs
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My green card was Pick Your Poison. That's the 1 mana second artifact, enchantment or flyer. I think it's going to be like a very good sideboard card, but I think when you're mainboarding, you're going to be upset at the.
I
lack of
think
targets
I
some
think
amount of
it's
time.
main boardable, low key. It's 1 mana. It costs 1 mana. Like it's so cheap, but I have V2 Ghazi Inspector. I think it's kind of niche. Right? There
I
are gonna be times
also
when it's good.
have Vitagazu Inspector as well. I just think, I mean, it's going to be fine in the sideboard. I actually sided one in
Yeah.
just because the guy was so aggro. I had to do something about it. And so
It's a
like,
1/3.
Even as a
which-
1/3, and then you get the upside on the other side. But
Yeah.
I think there are decks where it's good, but it's
Yeah.
going to be more narrow than you think. Like if you don't have the land cyclers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You can never collect evidence on curve with it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the problem.
There's a 1 mana split card that does it.
Yeah. If they play a body,
Oh, man.
right, and you say has to attack,
Hypothetically. I'm just saying.
2 cards for a 2/4 on 2.
2 cards for you gain 2 though.
You do
gain
gain
2.
two.
1 mana gain 2 seems pretty good to me. You know, healing salve. Anyone?
Never do it on curve.
Oh,
A
man.
2/4 is an absolute demon in this format. Low key, yeah. Like
Honestly, like, do we have any 3 mana 2/4s? You know, normally there's like the 3 mana
No,
2/4, and I don't
I'm
think they
pretty
did
sure
any
it
because it's just so good in this set. Or like, yeah. For mine, I also did Pick Your Poison. It is definitely going to be nuts out of the sideboard. You will randomly hose some deck, get their flyer, get their big,
case,
yeah.
it's kind of,
But
to me, it's almost like a 23rd card.
Like
It's like begrudgingly
the decks that
playable.
you
like.
like are thinking that it's going to be good against is the ones that have artifacts, but it's terrible against those because they like sack a clue.
the one decks that is really good against is when someone's fixing is exclusively artifact lands. Because artifact lands are a thing in this set. The clue that sacrifices enters tapped, and then it taps for any color by tapping a creature. That is an artifact, and nobody remembers it.
Yep.
If they play that on 1 and you stone rain them for 1 mana, you win the game. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but that is like one of the sources of fixing in this set.
Yep.
And if a deck is running no other artifacts, you can always play 1 mana stone rain against them. So maybe it's more reasonable than I'm thinking it is, but it is a little narrow.
A
perhaps.
1 mana kill a flyer.
I have a 1/1 Thopter, and is it? Like,
That's fine though. That's like 1 mana. It's 1 mana. It's so cheap. It's so cheap.
I think
think
it's a
it's
great
okay.
sideboard card.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a great
Yeah,
sideboard.
great
Yeah.
sideboard
Yeah.
card.
I just think you're going to main deck it and have it be stuck in hand with nothing to hit.
Yeah.
It kills Rakdos.
This is like how many times
It's a sorcery. They've already won the game.
how many times have you played a plummet main
After
board?
you just
Yeah.
you do that all the time, Andrew.
Plummet?
Not
Oh,
plummets. He plays like the plummet
Kamigawa,
equivalent.
he played
Upgraded
The
plummet.
plummet equivalent.
Women.
Kamigawa was
Creatures were good.
Kamigawa was a different story.
Yeah.
Fade to
Yeah,
Antiquity
but-
was a mother effer.
We
It
killed
was-
a lot of creatures.
It was
No,
so
like,
good.
we play these occasionally.
I faded so many. I have so many fades in my collection, just because I drafted it and it was underdrafted all the time.
Yep. All right, next up we have our. Oh, did you go? Yeah, you do it. You have
Yep, pick your poison.
Next up, we have our green uncommons. That's Pompous Gadabout. It's a 4/2 vigilance, I think, or no?
Nope, does not
Hexproof.
have vigilance.
What all does
it
it
has
have?
hexproof on your turn, and it cannot be blocked by creatures without a name, which is supposed to be this cute thing where it can't be blocked by face down creatures, and it's bad. It's just no, don't play it.
Then we have a Killer Among Us. That's a 5 mana that makes 3 tokens that are different types. You secretly choose a type. Then you can sack the enchantment to give the creature of the chosen type 3/1 counters and death touch.
Not quite. It has to be attacking token of the chosen type. If it was just a creature of the chosen type, anytime, that would give you so much versatility. You know, there's other random things, other goblins. You have to have the token that you made from this, because normally it's the only way to get that token. It needs to be the right one, and it tends to be very obvious. And then you need to untap and attack with the token. And then,
Not die.
yeah, every time I've had this played against me, it was 5 mana, make 3/1/1s. They never got any value out of it because they're on the back foot after they spend 5 mana to make 3/1/1s. You know, I'm doing something way bigger. And the other thing, I think people forget that it is attacking creature. I had a lot of people try to do it, you know, anytime, and that token has to be attacking, right? If you could just like ambush them, you know, it's really hard to attack when any of them could be a 4/4 suddenly, but that's just not how it works.
Oh, yeah. It seems bad.
So my uncommon is Case of the Trampled Garden. That's 3 mana, put 2/1 counters on up to distribute them however you
Yep.
want. And if you have 8 power total, you solve it. And then when you attack with the creature, it gets a +1/+1 counter and trample.
I will say and sealed that card is disgusting.
It's probably fine. Like you're probably thinking you're going to solve it, but it's really only safe to solve like if you play at the turn where they're tapped out, right?
Getting to 8 is not that hard among all your creatures.
That's true, but like
Yeah.
the payoff is not amazing.
It is. It gives it trample. That's like the big.
The trample is the
The
payoff.
trample is the payoff, and that's like it makes it really hard to win once they solve it.
Yeah.
'Cause they can just like infinitely race you, and you can't block anything.
3 mana, I don't know.
It was really good when it was played against me. It was like a pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it seems really good.
I'll have to learn my lesson.
It
I'll have to
was
learn my
good.
Like
lesson.
one
It
of
was
the best
good.
cards I've ever seen.
I have to learn my lesson the hard
Did
way.
you play it, Andrew?
No, it's not totally on my list for worst card. We'll get to that.
I have a chalk outline. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a
I love
trap.
it.
Oh, that's
It's
that
a
card's
trap.
Very strong.
It just
Beat
takes
me
so
with
much
it.
to do.
Yeah, beat
4
me
mana
with that.
enchantments that do not have an ETB are very rarely playable.
That's true.
Yep.
I will say that.
That is,
I will agree with you. on
That
that.
is-
that's where I was at.
It does
It's
nothing.
a good engine piece, though. I mean,
You know.
once you get it going, I guess.
It would have been so nuts if they made it so when it entered, you got a 2/2,
Oh.
and then it would just go off, right? But that is not how the card works.
Yeah, it seems pretty mid.
Case of the Trample Guard, I said it already. I mean, this card just like it expects you to have creatures already, and then it's just so hard to trip those things. And I don't think even the payoff for it is.
It has an ETB though, right?
It's got an ATB of like putting counters on creatures, but if you have no
Oh.
creatures, like this is just rotting your hand,
Yep.
and it's just it just further exacerbates like as it goes along. Too, it's like,
Like,
oh, I
there's
didn't
like
have
a-
any creatures.
There's
It's
such
better
like
in
a
draft
delicate
than-
balance of like having creatures and things that buff
Yeah.
creatures that this card is not good enough
Yeah.
to be one of your things that buffs creatures.
And it's gonna be one of those things where you have the 6/7 or something like that. And you're like, I put 2 creatures on it. Oh, great, I flipped it already. And you're like, this is great. And it's like, because I did it all in one card, but it's like really rarely ever happens.
Yeah.
That's how I do work. I did, yeah.
I also have chalk outline. I think it takes a lot of work to do. I think it takes a lot more work than most people realize. My opinion on the collect evidence, like as a deck, you know, I think you'll randomly collect evidence for value and you'll get some good things. But I don't think you should be playing 4 mana enchantments that don't do anything as your payoff for your deck. Maybe there will be times it comes together, but I think that is going to be a lot more rare than people think.
Yep.
It's going to be nice when you're like resurrecting things from your graveyard because it's not just collecting evidence, it's pulling things out of your
Yeah,
graveyard.
when stuff leaves your graveyard,
Yeah,
sure.
and so that
But-
might be relevant,
But it's also whenever one or more. You can't trigger it multiple times off the same thing. You can't raise dead on 2 things to get 2 triggers. That'd be
Damn.
sick.
Oh, that'd be so
It's one or
nice.
more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good thing I'm a working man. I'll make it work. It's a lot of work. That's what us working men do.
So I just like to say, you're saying that the working class loses games of Magic.
We'll find out. And that was our list.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, this week's Superfecta, we have favorite fast food restaurants. What you got, Joel?
Freddy's. It's just great.
Solid pick.
In and out.
Solid pick.
Taco Bell.
Gross.
Solid pick.
I'm going to take, you guys took the good ones that I was going to take. I had Freddy's and then I had.
We were doing so fast until
I
I
know.
got to you, Ryan.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't expect 2 picks to get taken. I'm going to take Taco Shop. I know
Disgusting.
You're disgusted by Taco Bell, yet you pick Taco Shop?
Taco Shop is like the best. Oh, it's
No,
so good.
okay,
Oh my God,
all right.
okay.
So good.
So you get 2, right?
Yep. And then I'm going to hit you back with Jimmy John's. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy John's.
I'm gonna say Chipotle. I like
Borderline
Chipotle.
fast food, but sure.
Yeah,
It's fine.
that's
Yeah,
fast
it's
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
reasonable. McDonald's.
Chick-fil-A.
Ooh, that's a good one. Should have took Chick-fil-A.
I get another one.
Ooh. Sonic.
That's a good one.
Those deals, that Sonic app just gets me every time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they
It's
got
so
me
cheap.
on my deal senses go off. I'm gonna pick Popeyes.
Oh God, you guys are taking them all.
All right, so now we've gone into the ones that, because I already named the 2 fast food restaurants I go to literally ever. I'm gonna say Burger King.
Not bad, not bad.
Yep.
Give me Five Guys. Love me some Five Guys. And then for the last pick, I'm gonna take Dairy Queen.
DQ.
Little DQ.
It's not as good as it used to be, but Subway. They don't have $5 footlongs anymore.
Whataburger.
Oh. You guys have taken all of mine now.
Tough.
Yeah. I don't know. Spangles? I'm going to be honest. I don't like Spangles,
Do
but I'm
people
out.
know what that is?
KFC, Arby's.
Subway's still there?
No, I said
He took
Subway.
I was
took
going to take
yeah.
Subway.
Yeah,
I
okay.
eat Subway all the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
Subway's good. Yeah.
No, there's just like nothing left. I'm going to be honest.
Quiznos.
Yeah. Blimpies is good.
I've never been there.
Good sense.
Yeah.
CC's Pizza.
I mean, yeah.
Does that even
Yeah,
exist?
Pizza's like fast food.
Any pizza then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just what's the difference really? Domino's
you have
maybe.
to pick.
Domino's. Okay.
Domino's? All right.
Domino's is fine.
Fair. They've gotten so much better from when
All right. Well, we'll keep going on the food video.
Yep.
Well, that's all.
Bye.
Bye. Joel, sign us out.
What's the sign out exactly?
All right, I think that's all we got this week. Bye.